Hi everyone and welcome to Anything Dance. I'm Emma, our area manager. We have two locations. We have Croydon and Campbelltown. Today you're in our Croydon store. We have our point shoe room that I'm going to take you through in a sec. I've been with Anything Dance for 9 years and worked alongside all of our brands to get all of our knowledge for our point shoes. Today specifically we're going to go through what happens in your point shoe fitting. Just some tips for your first fitting before you come in. We always suggest cutting your toenails, not too short, but just nice and trim. And always do this about 24 hours before your fitting. If you do them the day of, or if you have really long toenails, you're definitely going to feel that pressure when standing up on point, and it can definitely take away from, is it the shoe or is it my toenail? So that's one major tip. Also, you can dress in whatever you feel comfortable. We'll always give you a little socket to put on with your shoe. So you can just come barefoot, or if you want to wear your leotard with stockings. We love photos in here, especially in our beautiful point shoe fitting room. Next tip is I would always come with an open mind, because one shoe doesn't fit every foot. That is a big misconception in point shoe fittings, but we are here to help you along the way, and we ask lots of questions and we love to get your input. So if you just like to come along and come join us for the fun at Anything Dance. I'm just going to quickly run you through the steps then what to expect when you come in for your point shoe fitting. First off, we like to get some history to see if you've had a pre-point assessment with a dance physio. We really do suggest having one of these, because your physio can really go into detail if you've had any pre-injuries, areas you might need to strengthen. And then what we will do is find out how much point you're going to be doing a week, because that can really depend on how and what style and the strength of shoe that you need. Then you'll come over to our bar and we're going to just run through a few steps just to kind of have a real good look at your feet. So first off, we stand in first and you're going to demi-plie. Here we like to see our feet spreading when we're demi-plie, where our weight placement is, what our arches are doing. And also while we're here, we like to see if we're going to need any accessories, such as your spacers. Now your spacers, they go in between your big and second toe, and what this does is sometimes our toes are naturally crossed, or sometimes they have natural gaps in them, and we like to kind of keep the natural alignment, because when you put that shoe on, it is a little bit tapered sometimes. We don't want it pushing all the way across and creating some resistance through this sort of area on our foot. So they are a great one, but we will always explain this to you during your fitting. Next off, what we do is we like to point to second. Here we're seeing if you're working all the way through your ankle, what your toes are doing, the range of motion you also have. And then lastly, just nice and easy, we like to see you up and rising. And this is just to see our alignment of our ankles and your range of mobility, just to see where we start in our point shoe fitting. Okay, let me introduce you to some of the point shoes that we have in the different brands here. Like I said, we at Anything Dance like to have all different brands on hand, because it helps when we're doing our fitting, as one shoe doesn't fit every foot. First off, we do stock block, which we love because it ranges from our beginner to advanced feet. They have lots of different styles and shapes, which really helps within the fittings. Next, we have our Capezio. One thing we really do like about Capezio is it has a very versatile shank. So what we actually do is in our fitting, we will manipulate the shank and the box. This is something as your fitter we like to do. This is because Capezio actually has a system where it's not just always a full shank like a traditional point shoe. You have a half shank or a 3/4 shank. And what this actually does is you might have a foot that is breaking the shank right in this like midsection, and that sometimes is because the shank is too straight on that foot, and we can tell that in your fitting if it's putting too much pressure. So what we can do is put you into either a half or a 3/4 shank, and then we manipulate it so it sits, and it's actually going to support you through the whole arch rather than just your toes and your heel. Next we have our Energetics. Energetics has some great different shapes and tapered for wide and really narrow feet as well. We have the technology in the shank of Energetics is it actually has a bit of a flex point through your demi point. So it's got little cutouts here, and what that actually helps, it helps you roll up onto that demi point. The good thing too is if you find that you're loving your shoe from your first fitting and it's just, broken down too fast, or you might just need something a little bit stronger or softer, what it actually does is the same shoe, it just goes in a soft, medium or hard shank. And lastly, we have our So Dancers. Now, in the So Dancers, they are a little bit different to, again, your traditional point shoe, which is really great. So what it actually has is an interchangeable shank. So as you can see here, I will just take it out and slip it back in. So what this means is when the shoe breaks down, you know, you might have kept the box in great shape. It's just the shank's got too soft, or you need a harder shank. All you do is flip this out, take out your shank, and then insert a new one. And your actual point shoes come with a soft and a hard shank as well. They also are, rather than the traditional point shoes where you might tape your toes, wear an insert, these are kind of inserted inside the shoe. I just wanted to run you through the front of our store. So as you can see, this is where all of our normal shoe fittings happen. And then we've got all our beautiful uniforms and apparel. And lastly, we have our store manager, Bronte. She does most of our fittings here in Anything Dance.